there was a question from a student saying, how do you prevent SQL injection? And I found a nice page from OWASP explaining it. I'm going to put this link in the chat. So here is code that is vulnerable to SQL injection. On the server, you make a query which is select some data where username equals, and then here you put data that came from the user, customer name. This is like the one I just did. This is going to be vulnerable to SQL injection because you take data from the user and include it in a command where you're going to have to match these apostrophes. And so the main defense is to do it this way. You say select where username equals question mark, and then you use this prepared statement thing. You get a parameter, customer, and call it a string, and you connect it. So this is where you set the string number 1 equal to customer name. So the data comes in from the user, cust name, and it is interpreted as a data item, number 1, and you put a question mark there which stands for it. So this is another way to develop your code. So the data that came from the user is an object. It is not a string that could include apostrophes. It's just an object, and it only can be interpreted as data. It cannot be misunderstood as commands. This is a perfect defense. People have been using this for years, and nobody's ever found a way to do SQL injection anymore if you write your code this way. That's the correct defense. You make a data object and refer to it. You don't just put data in a line of code that came from the user. And that's how you prevent all these injections. So anyways, I just wanted to add that here because the question came up, and that was a very good question. And now let's talk about 104, and this is CMD injection. This is a Windows server, and you're using the DOS command line. So in the DOS command line, you don't use ls, you use dir. dir, this is the Windows command line at CMD, will give you a list of all the files and folders in the current directory, and you can make a directory and change directory and do dir. So there's make dir, cdir, and dir to see what's in this subdirectory, and there's nothing in there except dot, which is a pointer to the current directory, and dot dot, which points to the directory above. You can make a file by echoing data into a file, and then do dir. That'll create a file called Steve file, and then you can type the file to see what's in a file. So these should be familiar. Type is the equivalent of cat, approximately, in Linux, and so on. These are the basic commands. And so here's how you refer to directories. Just same as it is in Linux, you can make a directory called Sally and cd into it, and then you can do a dir, then you can do a dir of dot dot. So if I do this, I make a directory, I change directory into Sally, then I create a file called Sally file in there that contains some text. Now if I do a directory, there's a file called Sally file with 8 bytes of text. Now if I do dir dot dot, I'm doing directory of the directory above this one, which is the directory containing the directory Sally. You can refer to directories above where you are with dot dot. And I think that's all the DOS commands you need. So there's a flag defined here, just so you practice doing those commands. You'll need to do them on a Windows box, like your Windows virtual machine or any other Windows machine you happen to have. And now you can find a flag. So here is a page that connects to a Windows server and lets you do directories of a directory. So I can put in dot, and that will do the current directory. So when I do that, it will show me the default directory. The default directory is cexamp-htdocs because I'm using this thing called the XAMPP web server on Windows, which is a Linux imitation of the Apache server, essentially. So I'm in this directory, and here's all the stuff in that directory. A bunch of files are in that directory. All right. And now I have directory command injection here because in Windows, you can put 2 commands on the same line if you put an ampersand between them. So I can do dot ampersand, who am I? And if I put it here, it will do the directory as before, and at the end it'll show who I am, and I am the administrator, and that's why this one often crashes. Everybody is the administrator on this box, so you can wipe out files and reboot the server and trash it in various ways, and that's why it was down when I got here. So I have administrator rights over this box, and I can execute commands here. So here I can, for example, create a file in an uploads folder, and the uploads folder are visible. So if I do this, I'm going to modify it a little bit so we can tell. I'm going to say hello Feb1, and I'm going to put it in a file called hello Feb1. This is how you can get data off the server. You can echo it and put it in a file. I can show contents. Now, it did that, but I didn't ask it to print anything out to the screen, so it didn't. But that created a file here with hello Feb1. So I put Feb1 here on the one I just created, Feb1, and there it is, hello Feb1. So I can create files on the server, and I can view them on the server. So if I want to get a large amount of data from the server, this is one way to do it. So you have the ability, with the ampersand, to execute arbitrary DOS commands on the server, and now you've got some flags to find. So here's a flag. There's a file named flag2.txt on the server, and there's another flag where you don't have the name directory, or you don't have the name of the file or what directory it's in, and I have some hints here. So you should give it a shot and see if you can figure it out. And that's the command injection, the DOS command injection. Technically Windows command line. And that's all I wanted to show you. I'm going to stop this video.